Wally beats go crazy.
One thing on me, I'ma get to the bag.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Ade.
It's your boy Ope.
And welcome back to another episode of Boss Talks. Today we have a special guest with us here.
What's up, y'all? My name is Miriam. I'm from the Bronx, born and raised. I just graduated from Boston University with a journalism degree. Thank you. I'm always curious about at one point people stop saying congratulations because it's already been 4 months. So
4 months.
It's kind of awkward if I keep getting congrats.
Give it 1 year. 1 year.
Well, 1 year is enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. Even 6 months, honestly. I forget that I graduated. So, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, until it's the next class, like class of 2025.
Exactly.
Then
that makes sense. Because then I have to give them their accolades, I guess.
Exactly.
Even though I worked harder.
Then you washed up. Then you a real alum.
No, isn't that insane?
That is a good deal.
Nah, let the people know where they can find you at.
It's crazy. You guys can follow me on Instagram at xx_Miriam with 3 M's at the end. So MARIAMMM. Also follow me on LinkedIn, Miriam Hydara. Hydara being HYDARA. It's funny that you said that. Yeah, I really need a job actually.
If you guys
I need a full-time job. Please
I
do.
need my 25% though.
Oh, 25 is crazy, but 25 is crazy.
25% goes to Boss Talks.
You might get 7. I don't know about 25 is insane.
25%.
Yeah, but no, seriously, like if you guys have a job related to journalism, storytelling, creation, content creation, let me know, please. I need one now.
Let's work, y'all.
Yeah, let's work. All right, y'all. So today we got a special topic. The topic is going to be gender in the workplace.
The workplace. When you say gender, we talking about men and women, right? We talking about the gender in the workplace, correct?
We are talking about the gender dynamics, man, woman,
I got a lot to say
in the
about
workplace.
I got a lot to say about that.
All right, so we started off with the first question then.
Let's get it.
Who are easier to work with, men or women?
This is actually difficult because I feel like men can be easier to please, but that's not always a good thing. Like in the workplace, like I feel like if a man, like your boss, for example, tells you to do something, it's easier to satisfy them, but that doesn't always lead to quality work. But I feel like if you have a woman that's your boss, like they might be a little more particular and might give you a lot more feedback that will lead to higher quality work. So I think it's complicated, but like I think women lead to a more successful workplace environment, but men can. It can feel lighter. It can feel easier on the day-to-day. I'll say that for now.
So your answer was men are easier to work with because they demand less. Yeah. So she said easier to work with. That's basically.
But she thinks that women
are better bosses.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. What do you think, Ape?
I disagree. I accept your ideas. Well, I will once say that you can direct what you're experiencing to you specifically. So maybe when you're working with a specific male boss, they might they like you, or they don't want to put too much stress on your shoulders, and they know that the job will get done, so they're making it easier for you. It's not that they're just trying to get the shittiest job done. Of course not. It's it's bad for the down end. I would just say that maybe for you personally. So I'm not gonna reject what you said. In the terms of women running the workplace, I don't think that can be the case. I think that can be quite the opposite. I think in certain situations where you have a woman that is prideful, full of ego, that is in a leadership position, can be very draining for all the employees. I've had that in the past. I've dealt with that. I've dealt with situations where the female boss will walk around as if she owns the place, even though she herself is also an employee. You know
I concur.
And it's like that can be very toxic, and that's not just as a man, but I've seen my female counterparts deal with that as well, also be stressed. And that doesn't lead to a better shift. That doesn't lead to a more efficient work. That leads to just your employees being tired of it.
Dang. When you were talking, there's a lot of points I meant to say, and I've forgotten most of them. But I feel like there's a lot of layers to peel back because I feel like the idea of like women kind of maybe leading to a more exhausting workplace is because they're trying to overcompensate for the low expectations that they have. So I feel like people are expecting them not to do good work and not to lead a successful team, so that leads them to like overly piling up on tasks, or like expecting more than necessary for their employees, because they're just trying to combat that expectation that it is against them. And I basically was going to say the same thing about the idea of like men, like, oh, maybe it's because they just like you and they're trying to give you an easier time. I feel like that again stems from this place of like they don't think you could do too much or like put in that much work, so they're just gonna give you what's simple and tell you it's good and give the real work to other people. Which it depends. If you're a woman and you don't want to work hard, then I guess it works in your favor. But it all leads to this idea of lower expectations of women in the workplace, I would say.
Me personally, I think it's easier to work with men because we all know who the more emotional gender is, and high emotions is not a good thing necessarily in the workplace, because we're all there for whatever the work is, whether it's a company, a clothing store, a hospital, wherever your workplace is, we're all there for the consumer. And being over emotional can be to the detriment of the consumer.
And over emotional can not only just be screaming at a person, but that can be also trying to get the best type of quality of work with short staff.
Yes.
Now you're putting extra workload on members of your team that can't handle that workload, or gonna exhaust them to the point of not wanting to come back. And now you're only gonna damn your team even more when they quit.
And we're not saying all women are like this, but a majority of women are a lot more emotional than men are, especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
And we've experienced
and
that.
And that can be due to stress, of course. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't
hormones too.
But that doesn't mean you take such stress out on your staff, employees.
No, exactly. for sure. Like, I think we all know it's very common to project your emotions, to project what's going on at home, and just like saying something is a justification of something else doesn't necessarily make it right. But I was gonna say, for the first thing that you guys said, it makes sense why you guys as men feel more comfortable or at ease working with men. Like, it's the same reason why women feel more comfortable working with women in the workplace.
I would disagree.
Fair enough, but I think it makes sense because you know that those feelings that you are experiencing are similar and more relatable to those same genders. But what I was also going to say is I forgot.
So let me just target that point that you just said. You said that women feel more comfortable working with women, and I've worked with women that said they rather work with men, just because of the over emotional and drama factor in the workplace.
Might as well bring up the question then.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's ask the question. Let me ask it then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is there more workplace conflicts that we hear about, whether it be verbally or on social media, between women to women instead of men to men, or even men to women? Like, of course, we're going to hear about the sexual harassments. Of course, that happens between all genders. But I'm talking about conflict of like drama, or, oh, Becky, she touched my
Becky.
She touched.
Why are we three Africans talking about Becky? Like,
or Fatuma.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Thank you. Fatuma is crazy. That's even a name.
But my point
that's
is,
my sister's name.
Really?
Shout out.
Okay.
And she's not listening.
Now you better watch it. But the point is if like females get petty with each other very easily, like, and it can only just stem from not saying good morning to me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't want to say good morning. Maybe you just had a bad morning. Maybe you want to get through the day. But now some women will draw through that and try to extend it and drag it on and make it seem as if you're the number one enemy, your top op. When in reality, I just didn't want to feel like talking to anybody. I just wanted to get my day started, get to work, and then as the day goes by, of course, I'm gonna feel more at ease. But women, I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. Get petty, and it will drag it.
It's definitely all very subjective because I can speak for myself and say that as a woman, I drop things very quickly. But again, that's just
you're a
me,
dime in a dozen.
and I understand. Like, but I also have a lot of friends that are similar to me in that regard. If something makes us mad, all we want to do is hash it out right then, so that we don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. But obviously, I know a lot of women don't do that. And I would also argue that I wouldn't necessarily say that women are more petty or cause more drama. I would just say that they express it more. I think men have to have the same kinds of problems and can have the same like gossips between each other.
Fair.
It just won't be as obvious, and
I'll
lights
let you hit
won't
this
be
point first, then.
as spotlit on them as the way women make it so obvious and clear throughout the workplace. And I was gonna say to your previous point about like women just in general being more emotional and that that's not good for the workplace. I would highly say that definitely depends on what work field that we're talking about. Because I would argue that there's a lot of fields like when we're talking about like media and content creation, for example, people want to see that emotional kind of narrative and personas at the forefront. They don't want just the simple plain logistical kind of storytelling that a man might bring. So it definitely depends, but I'm sure like in healthcare, for example, is very useful to be able to set those
Yeah, but
kinds of
we're not
emotions
talking
to
about
the
good
side.
those type of good emotions. We're talking about negative emotions like anger and pettiness and stuff like that and sassiness. We're not talking about good expressions like emotional
Mm.
expression like that. We're talking about the pettiness, the oh, I'm not gonna talk to you because I don't like
The
you.
thing that
I'm
can
gonna
make
ignore you.
work
So
drag on.
we're not like work is supposed to be a collaborative thing with your
It's
coworkers. You're
supposed to be
supposed
a
to be working
team.
together. It's
For
supposed to be a
sure.
team effort. And if a woman doesn't like another woman in the workplace, she won't talk to her. And
Mm.
even when they have to collaborate. So say Becky and Fatuma, they're working in the front, right?
Okay,
Together in the
Multiracial.
same
multicultural.
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
same
Go
yeah,
ahead.
in the same section, right? Becky's not going to talk to Fatuma because she doesn't like her. She's going to come
Mm.
all the way to the back and disrupt what's going on back there just because she doesn't want to consult with
Mm.
Fatuma,
I
just
can
because she
see.
doesn't like her. A man, we
Mm-hmm.
would put our differences aside for the betterment of
The
said
job.
job.
Sure.
And of course, there are women that have those same qualities that know the job is the job and my feelings towards you are my feelings towards you.
Of
But
course.
then there are many people, I won't even just include women, I'll just say people in totality, majority women though, show that on their sleeve and said emotions take control of them.
Yes.
And that can be very negative to everybody. That is what I mean when the workplace, it's not supposed, of course work is not supposed to be fun. If you get a job that's fun for you, congrats to y'all. But if you get a
I would
job
hope
that is
so.
supposed to pay the bills and help you get a means to end, you don't want to leave work to go home and think about bills, to go back to work to think about stress. For me, you want to just go to work to get your job done and go home. You got enough things to stress about, especially not some coworkers' bad emotions.
That's fair. I think that something like emotional regulation is obviously a basic human skill, and that's something that everybody needs to work on and take power of. I would definitely say it's a balance. I think to kind of justify the woman side of things, I think at least for me, I just don't like to be fake. Like I like to be very authentic in all of my actions and emotions towards you, but that will never get in the way of the job that we're doing. So if there's a justified reason why I don't like you, yeah, if I can choose to sit right next to you or a few rows back, I'm gonna sit a few rows back, but it's not gonna be a problem. It's not gonna cause noise. And if we're forced or encouraged to collaborate on any type of project, it will get done. And I feel like sometimes men might like glaze over that sort of authenticity. Like you could have a genuine problem with someone for a genuine reason, but just completely ignore it when you're in the workplace, which I'm not necessarily saying is wrong. I'm just presenting from both sides.
So
Like,
you would rather have it faced up front. Okay, so just instead of dragging it on, just to ask a quick question from
Sure.
both of y'all. Would you prefer a coworker bringing up a situation to you, or you bringing up a situation to a coworker, the coworker hearing you, like digesting what you're saying, and now flipping it back on you and being petty about it? And you'll see that in many dynamics where it's an age gap. And especially not when it comes to men to men. Men understand that once you cross that boundary and now you're in this workplace, if I'm not your boss and we're coworkers, we're peers. Now, women, they want to hear that miss or ma'am. They want to be respected. They want to be held to a higher standard. Of course, there's some women that understand that we are all workers. We're understand like you give me the respect I deserve as your elder, and I'll give you the respect as my coworker. But then there's those coworkers that look at you like a baby because I have a child older than you. That's a problem.
Are we
That is a
talking
problem.
about
And you
between
see
like
that-
boss and employees,
No, we're
or
talking about
between
between
two
employees.
Age gap.
What's the just because
Age gap.
what woman is older, then they'll like act like that?
Yeah, I've seen
But
that.
we're both certified. We have the same position.
Same
like,
title, but
We're
it's
both
just
getting
because
paid
of
the same.
age. And I see that point many times.
qualified to do the same
I won't
job.
lie to you.
Mm.
And not just from my experiences, from multiple experiences.
I've experienced the same thing.
Well, have you?
Interesting. I'm not gonna invalidate you guys' experiences.
No. Have you?
I'm gonna
have you experienced it?
I don't have like a clear picture of that in my head, to be very honest.
So
with
you never
guys.
had an ageist
but-
experience where somebody judged you just because
Well,
of your age?
Yes.
And what was their gender? If you
But
don't mind me asking.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
No. Just
It
what was
was
their
a
gender?
man.
It was a man.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah.
All right.
Which just adds.
So
to the
maybe
point.
everything that we're speculating at this point, y'all, back at home, it could just be subjective. It could just be
Yeah.
based off of personal experiences. But I would like to have this conversation. I hope you guys will join us back at home and have this too.
I really do think so.
Okay, so who do you guys think the drama in the workplace revolves around mostly? Like, if you would have to pick a gender.
This is kind of my same point as before. Women make it more obvious. Like, that's clear. Like, women will.
Like, if there was like a
spend more
conflict,
time.
you come in and then, one of your work besties come tell you, "Oh, girl, did you hear about this?" Who would the story be around? Would it be about men or would it be
Or who bring that
around?
drama
It would
up?
be around a woman, but like
Okay.
I said, it's because they're more louder with it, like
Mhm.
which can be annoying. But it's just.
Would you
the
say
way
that's
that it
toxic
is.
for a work environment?
Or is that necessary for a work environment?
When it's done in an excessive manner, where we're talking more about this gossip than the work that's being done, then yes, I think that's toxic. But I think it's honestly healthy to have bits and pieces of real life within any work environment. I personally don't want to work anywhere where 24/7 we're talking about the project and the things at hand. We're real people. We have problems with people. Let's chat about it, as long as it's not, again, done in an excessive way.
But
I'll say.
just to jump in real quick, you saying excessive, so that means that regardless of what the information could be, it's acceptable? Because they could be telling you informations in bits and pieces, but it's dealing with somebody else's personal life that shouldn't be brought up at work.
Definitely not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there should be like, I don't think any type of drama is acceptable at work. I think more of, we can talk about our personal lives, we can talk about our hobbies, we can talk about the things that we enjoy doing at home.
Right.
We
But
can
now,
do that.
but when it comes into, now I'm talking about I did to you.
Yeah,
And
no.
what I did does, like,
No,
that's
I'm
we see that a lot.
personally- Yeah, I stay away from external gossip
you see
as
that?
much as I can. Yes, of course, all the time. Everyone knows that. I think men and women both love to gossip,
Absolutely.
but again, women just do it louder.
Gossip sells.
And more. Yes, exactly, and more well spread. So no, I don't think, like, I was thinking more about me talking about my own problems, or about things that relate to me, but I don't think is ever necessary.
We're talking
to
about
have a
shit
go
talking.
around.
You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's
you
what
talking
we-
shit about
yeah,
and then they
no.
don't like you, and
I don't think
somebody
that's
ends up getting
necessary.
reported, and
Yeah, it's definitely not necessary
Yeah.
in a
What you think, Ade?
professional work environment. It feels like high school.
yeah.
But a lot of
Absolutely.
things that adults do feel like high school. Like, I think I've had that all the time. Like, every time I see someone like being mad or have a outburst or say something, like, I'm like, you guys are still in high school. But that's not my place to judge. So I don't need to express that out loud. I just know a lot of people have growing to do.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, we're there for one purpose. That is to go into our workplace, get what needs to be done,
Facts. Get the
and
job done. Go
get
home.
paid and go
For
home.
sure.
That's it.
Safely.
Like anything on the extra, like any chatter on the extra is just like unnecessary. If you have downtime, do that, but you don't have to be, you know, talking shit about your coworkers and then making it a whole scene. And then now it's like sides on the place that you work, and this group over here, and it's like clicky and stuff like that. That's not beneficial to any work environment.
Whether you guys graduated from high school or not, if you dropped out, I don't care. We all old enough to leave that at home. Like, honestly. Like, leave your egos at home. That's the problem. I won't even give it or put it on one gender or one age or one age range. I think egos play a major role in just workplace toxicity. And I think people don't understand how to check their egos at the door. People want to walk in as if they run everything. That is just not the case. You feel me? And that's why I said I've experienced ageism. I've experienced sexism from a woman to a man. You feel me? You don't have to be a man only being sexist towards a woman. A woman can be sexist towards you as well. And you feel me? And it could be because of the position you have or expectations that they put on you. And that's because of their ego. So I think people just need to check their egos at home.
For
Simple as that.
And like I said, like I definitely agree with the fact that your egos need to be checked, but I know that again from the woman's point of view, a lot of it is stemmed from places of always being told, like always being put down, even though they do have the necessary certifications for them to do whatever that they need to, so that when they are put in the place where their job actually does fit what they're qualified for, they overcompensate, which I'm not saying it is right. It's just the reasoning that I kind of rationalize behind it, and it's all really crazy because like that ego comes from a place of like you thinking that you don't have like anything else to learn, or that like you can't gain something from people that might have like less experience of you or the same experience from different gender as you, and that's just never the case.
Okay, so
you can always learn more.
So knowing that thought, if you're an investor and you're just opening up your own store or whatever, you're a manager, not a manager, but like an owner of a whatever company it is. Who would you want managing that company? A woman or a man? Knowing what you just said,
I know the answer to this.
Knowing that experience that women go through, who would you want running that company?
Even despite what she said, I know the answer.
I mean, like,
knowing what you just said,
first answer kind of has to say that it depends on what type of company it is. It depends if I think it's a type of company that needs a sort of emotionally driven kind of personality, someone who cares a little bit more, someone who can like story tell and provide narrative. But to be honest, as a woman, I have to say a woman, because despite all of the things you guys are saying, like I still know that the equality levels are very far from each other. So I have to give that chance to someone that I respect and I trust. And there are a lot of women that I think do have the emotional capabilities and the maturities that I don't see in men to be able to run a diverse and respectful environment personally. That's just based on the people that I know that I know. Like I know that I will be able to choose someone that I can trust.
Ope.
You said that.
Or disagree with
of course I disagree.
She said woman.
Of course he disagrees.
You heard that. Of course I disagree.
Do you guys think you guys are traditionalists?
I don't think it. I could be a traditionalist. I think it's more of the fact that I'm a rationalist.
Also a traditionalist, though, in some regards, but
I think it's more of I'm a rationalist. I don't want to look at. Of course, if a woman is qualified and has all the attributes that I want to run my job, I'm gonna have her as a prospect, and then at that point, I'm gonna play elimination game. But I'm not gonna just outwardly say that no man is qualified, because I as a woman want only women to have this position. That's biased. You're only leading your company down to failure. That's what I would just say personally.
Of course.
But me personally, I would not say, this company that I have needs to have a possibility with a woman that may have an outburst and rub an investor the wrong way, and that is a
The
high
same way a
possibility.
man could.
Of
Like,
course, of course.
I
So
don't get it.
I'm gonna look at their background. I'm gonna look at
Mhm.
their past. I'm gonna look at possibly employee interactions. I'm gonna see how they treated people. And more times out of not, I'm gonna see that sometimes the women rub off a lot of other employees the wrong way.
Sure.
For you to get to the top, you have to be stone hard. You have to be cold. You have to get the job done. And to do that, you have to be a bitch. And I'm sorry, most people are not going to want that person at the top of their company. And the same can go for a man too. I want somebody that has worked their way up the right way, not that stab people in the back.
I want to say that I've had some women managers that are very good at their jobs and what they do, but more often than not, I've had like bad experiences with them.
Now my manager is now a female, so I have great experiences with my managers. But now my employees, hey guys, if y'all watching.
So it's like
it's very interesting. Yeah, like it's all
they can be. I've had managers that were over emotional and they fired people, and then the coworkers were like, "What? This person got fired for what?" And it's just like,
but I feel like
why did that person get
I've
fired?
seen men be under emotional and and fire people that like just because like they had like a bad couple of days or like a bad run. Like
What does a bad couple of
their
days
own,
equal?
Like because
if a bad couple of days in a hospital means people's lives, you can't mess with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is a bad couple of days?
That's where we work in.
I'm thinking
Bad couple
about
of
like
days is
in terms of a
dangerous.
business or like a profit making environment where you put in a lot of good days or like stocks for example, like you betted. I'm talking because I don't really know how it works, but you like betted on certain companies and it has led to positive results for a long time, and then like let's say 3-4 days what you betted on does the opposite. And I feel like a male boss will be a lot quicker to use that as an excuse to fire you instead of giving you the credit of your previous days. But what I was gonna say before that is like it's literally all just based on experiences. And like I was watching Love Is Blind the other day, and one of the characters kept saying the same thing, that your perception is your reality, and that's literally all that like these types of conversations are. But back to about like choosing a woman to be a boss, I think it's about the idea of like we know how gender inequality works. So like kind of from a factual point, we know that there's way more women than men that have been qualified that have not received the kind of benefits or respect that they deserve. So it's about trying to level out that playing field because you know that there are women that can do the job well, and yes, the same way that there are men, but in the effort to try to balance it out, that's why you're gonna choose a woman. It's honestly the same model as racism and as like affirmative action. Like it's the same idea, honestly.
I agree with that, but I would have to just disagree with the fact that I'm not gonna go into. I'm not gonna look at a person, or I have seen more. I've seen more evidence. Of course, it's just hearsay because it's only circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen more evidence of men being more lenient when it comes to money. But where it comes for women in regards to money, they don't play games about their money. So now for those couple bad days, oh, a woman gonna fire you real quick because how much money you just lost me?
Really?
Yeah.
I've definitely seen the exact opposite. But
you guys let us know back at home.
Yeah, y'all let us know what y'all experiences coming down below.
But let me ask this last question.
Go ahead.
The dynamic between, let's say, a manager or a boss to an employee or staff, right?
mm-hmm.
It differs more with men or women. I would ask you which one.
Sorry.
So if a man is a boss, how does their employee interaction, boss employee interaction, differ from a female boss's employees interaction to a male or female?
I feel like some people would say that men overexert their dominance to a woman in the workplace. I've never experienced that because I'm a man, but maybe you have.
Right.
Maybe you have.
Yeah,
You can let us know.
Nah.
I feel like that's a popular dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I feel like a man as a boss, like, it's just that their actions will be way more clear about how they compare to their women employees, to their men employees. Well, I feel like a woman being a boss, like, their kind of attitudes and actions will feel similar enough towards all their employees. Like, I just think men make their biases and differences a lot more obvious in my experience and in my opinion. Like, I've never had like a woman boss kind of like over explain something to me or give me like less work than I felt like I was capable of, but all of my women bosses have definitely like just trusted me to do the work that hand. Like, they give me tasks and they leave me alone and they come back when I finish it and then they give me feedback. But all of that, my male bosses have stood by my side. Not all, because if one of you guys are watching this, I'm probably not talking about you. But most of them, I'll say, will like stand by the side, like after they give me a task, and like check in every 2 minutes and like make sure that I'm doing it the way they're supposed to. And like, although it can be helpful most times, it just tells me that you don't trust me to do my job, even though my resume and my cover letter and the interview have proven that I can do it. So,
Question.
but again, it's all experience.
Question before you jump in.
Answer.
If so, over explaining is bad.
I think so, yes, because
Why?
it comes with an assumption. Like, obviously, when someone is explaining something to someone, the only reason you're explaining is because you don't think that person already knows it. So if you're over explaining simple concepts or what appear to be simple concepts based on the person's experience, then it's because you're assuming that I don't already know this when I've proven that I do.
Or
that's my where my head is at.
Or that's a toxic mindset because a person may just want to have something to their type of liking. It's not that they don't trust you, it's that they've had past experiences where they explained it or they've told somebody to do something and they've come back with something completely different. So for them to avoid said mishap again, they're going to overly explain it to you so you know for sure exactly how it's supposed to be.
That makes sense. I think a more useful model is to explain the basics or like the specifics to the thing that you're explaining that you know is specific to you, and then ask like, do you have any more questions, or is there something that you're confused about, and let the person lead you and tell you if you have questions. Now, if you, as the person who's being explained to, say that you don't have any questions and you still get the project wrong, then that's on you and that's your fault. And then,
So I would say now, if they're a boss or a manager, is it not their job to explain it to you?
it is.
So now I would say what you just said before is justifiable and correct if I'm your peer. But if I'm the person that is going to take the most rap for if it goes wrong, I'm going to tell you what to do
100%
right.
agree.
That's what I mean. Like, over explaining is necessary.
And the difference between like
Especially
a man and a woman that over explains is like, I feel like a woman, the way they talk to you while they're explaining, I feel like that's what you're trying to get at. The way they're trying to explain it to you is like,
as if
you
they
don't know,
down to
like they're
you.
talking to their child. Whereas a man, they would talk to you like,
of course, it could be some
employee.
Men. Of course,
but it's like from a woman, it's like a parent to a child. They like try to make it seem like you're not qualified the way they're explaining it. Is that like what you're trying to say? Because I've experienced that. I've experienced that from a woman. From a woman,
and I definitely think it's literally everything we're saying here is literally is gonna be the opposite on each gender from each gender. That's point of view. Yeah, that's what I've gotten from this conversation. That there's no like majority from this to that. It's literally, and like it makes sense. Like, women with all that built up like anger and overcompensation that I think might hold, it makes sense for them to act this way towards their male employees, and from a male's perspective with that kind of pride and ego and maybe lack of trust, it makes sense for them to act the same way to their women employees that obviously their male employees won't feel.
Not necessarily.
They don't get it.
Because like if a manager has like a group meeting with all their employees, male and females there, the female manager or the woman manager, they will talk to everybody the same way. They will address everybody the same manner, like parent to child. Whereas a man that's talking to his employees it'll be like a boss to an employee dynamic instead of a parent to a child. Like the disrespect is not going to be there. I've seen that disrespect.
I have to.
I've seen
experienced
that. It's like disrespectful.
I believe, yeah.
It's like she's not talking to grown adults. It's like she's talking to a child. Yeah, I've experienced that.
I believe, yeah.
And that's the over emotional, that's the sassiness, the unprofessionalism that I've been talking about.
Hey, I don't know if you guys experience this back at home. Please make sure you comment comment down the experience itself
and tell us what the solution is. That's what I'm.
Is there a solution?
I think there always is.
What is the solution?
Is
the solution AI robots?
Oh my god, I hate AI. I can't talk enough about how much I hate AI.
Man, you should have been in season 1 when we talked about AIs.
I just think it's
and we was right out there.
Oh my
god, we were right.
We was right, and only more is gonna come.
It's taking over, and I dislike everything about it. Like.
Yo, get this video to 100,000 likes. We're gonna cop a Elon Musk robot, and then we're gonna interview the robot.
I don't know who he is, but on their dime, I guess.
On y'all dime back at home. That's why we need y'all to like this up, share it. Make sure y'all comment as well. But it's been your boy Up there.
It's been your boy Ade.
And Mariam.
Say that one more time for the people.
Mariam.
Make sure you guys add the extra R at the back. But you feel me? We holla at y'all, boss.
BossTalks out of here.
Peace.
Stay safe.
Peace.
Word, big boss man shit. Like, let me talk to the ladies with this one, like. Look. Don't say for late, cause I won't be there. Shorty in love with nails on her head. Money and fashion is all that I care.